Thank you very much, Kurt. Exodus, there's a lot. There's a lot in these. These are long readings. There's a lot of text in here. We're going to be at chapter 15 today. We're just continually following through the story, so we'll continue to do so. Of course, Exodus, the word itself is talking about the exodus of the Israelites out of Egypt. They have been enslaved in Egypt for hundreds of years, and God is moving his people out. This story is a story of redemption or redeeming or freeing his people from slavery in Egypt, and it is a story of covenant. It's both redemption and covenant. Up to this point, most of what we've been walking through is the redemption side of things. God seeing the slavery that his people are under, the violence that they're under, the murder that they're under. It says that he hears their cry, he sees them, and he remembers his covenant. He's going to act on his people's behalf. And much of what we've seen so far is the powerful arm of God, both judging Egypt and redeeming his people. We're moving from that part of the story of him redeeming his people into him establishing a covenant with his people. These people now have seen the mighty hand of Yahweh. They have trusted in Yahweh. They have faith and trust. They've either renewed a faith or started a faith. They now have this new, young, budding faith in Yahweh, in God. And what does it look like for them to carry that into a deeper commitment, deeper covenant, is what we're going to see into the rest of the story here. And so this is kind of a transition period, not just necessarily a transition a chapter, but a period of time where you're transitioning from that redemption and rescue into the covenant. And this is a song, is what this is. Moses and Miriam broke into song. I'm going to treat this like a teacher, and it doesn't seem right. This is a song to be sung. I don't know the melody for this song. I don't know that anyone has found that melody. This is Hebrew language with some kind of melody, tambourine, dancing, and it is a celebration and a song that is happening here. So I'm going to do my best. I'm not a dancer. I'm not a singer. I'm not charismatic in any way possible. But I'm a teacher, and I'm going to try to at least hone in on the depths of his lyrics. When I listen to music, I love music, but like depth of lyrics is what really grabs me the most. So as a teacher, that's where I'll focus today. But there's so much more than this, than what I'm going to be able to bring out. This is Moses and all the people breaking out into song and dancing and tambourine after what had just happened. So if you remember what happened last week, they were stuck at the water. Millions of people with all of their livestock leaving Egypt, and they've got this water in front of them, and the biggest, baddest, most aggressive, strongest fighting force in the world right behind them. They have the Egyptian army with its chariots and everything else, and they're stuck. Water, chariots, we're dead either way. We cannot cross this water, and we have these chariots behind us. And it was beautiful what the Lord said to him. Do not fear. Just stand your ground. Be silent. The Lord will fight for you. You just move forward. And that move forward was move forward into water. But just take a step, even if it looks like an impossible step. And I love the text as a whole last week. I think it's so practical for us in so many different ways. When it seems insurmountable, like you don't know what to do, there's water and an army, like you're stuck. Just take the next step that God gives you. You can't see the path. You don't know that these waters are going to part and you're going to walk through on dry ground and you're going to come through to the other end of that water. And you're just going to have witnessed and walked through a miracle, and you're going to turn around, and that water is going to go right over the army of Egypt, the armies of Pharaoh, and he's going to be sitting there drowning in the sea, and you're now on dry land. And a miracle has taken place. The rescue of God has taken place. They've witnessed this all in front of them, and they break out into song and dance, is what's happening. They're on the other side of the water. They've witnessed it all, and they're having a celebration time, is essentially where we're at today. So I'll try my best to be celebratory with this. All right. Chapter 12, verse 1. It says, Moses and the sons of Israel sang this song to the Lord, saying, I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its riders he has hurled into the sea. So, the start here is Moses and the boys. This is the first ever boy band. Maybe too much of a stretch there, but this is, you're going to see, it's kind of cool here. Like there's a bookending of this section of the song where Moses and the boys are to start with, and Miriam and the ladies come in at the end. And so it's kind of cool. Like it's a whole big crowd, but the boys start, the ladies finish this out. So you got your boy band and your first ever girl band, and they're all sharing the stage together. Pick your favorites, mix them together. What would that concert be like? What's yours? I don't know. Is it like NSYNC and Destiny's Child, or is that showing my age? Anyway, too far. Let's move on. Moses and the men are here singing, and they sing to Yahweh, and they essentially, here's their song. Here's the thrust, or the theme verse of their song. Yahweh is highly exalted. Yahweh is bigger and grander and beyond and superior and taller and more magnificent than we could ever imagine. This is like the main lyric. This is the big idea. How did we not know him? How did we not know how big he is? How did we not know how grand he is? He took Pharaoh's army and just chucked it into the sea. Did you guys see that? Is what he's saying. Did you see what we just saw? He's far bigger than we can ever, like the greatest fighting force in all the world. He just like picked it up and tossed it into the sea. Like that's the big idea of his song. This is his big thrust. Yahweh is far greater and more amazing than I can ever imagine. Look what he just did. He took the strongest power in the world and made them look like nothing. Imagine Yahweh doing that to the greatest fighting forces today with all of its nuclear weapons and jets and tanks and whatever we have, and Yahweh just picking it up and hurling it into the bottom of the sea and showing you, I am so much greater than what you can imagine. This is Moses' song. He goes from there and says, the Lord is my strength and song. He has become my salvation. This is my God, and I will praise him. My Father's God, and I will exalt him. This is powerful what he's doing here, right? He's like, did you guys see who he is? He is my strength. Like all the power that I have or need in this world, look what he is my strength. He protected me. He saved me. This idea of strength is power, protection, rescue. He is my strong fortress. I don't need to build a wall to protect myself. Yahweh's my protector. And he's become my salvation. What he says here is he's my protector, he's my strength, and he's become my salvation. He has acted in a way that he has redeemed and saved and rescued me from the slavery in Egypt. He has become my salvation. And then this line here, this is my God. This is my God. It's like Moses and the men of Israel, the boys, they're owning it. Did you see who he is? He is my strength. He's become my salvation, and he's mine. He's my God. I trust him. I believe in him. He is now mine. And then he says this line after that my Father's God, I will exalt him. What he's saying is, my ancestors' God has become my God. That's powerful, right, when that takes place? I mean, often for a lot of us, right, the thought of God, the thought of Yahweh, the thought of Jesus Christ, all of these things we've learned to some extent from previous generations. Beautiful what Zane was asking us to pray for future generations, to pray for God's work in our time, that we might be the ancestors for the next generation. It comes from that. I mean, we're reading something thousands of years old. The ancestors have told us something about Yahweh. They have passed it down and down and down, and my parents, my mother told me something about Yahweh. Who was yours? I remember like little kids sitting on the bed with her, trying to understand who is Jesus, who is God, and she's trying to explain that. My ancestors told me about Yahweh. And at some point, he became my God. I saw him work enough. I saw the activity of him enough. I chose to make him my God. My ancestors' God became mine. This is what Moses is saying. This is what he's saying not just for himself, but all the men in Israel. He's saying that Yahweh has become our God. Powerful line. This is the big idea here, right? Look what he did. He's not just my parents' God anymore. He is my God, my strength, my salvation. Verse 3, it says, the Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. I love that line. The Lord is his name. Do you know him? Like, his name is Yahweh. Man, I know I keep saying that. You're like, why does it? It's the personal name of God that he gives to the nation of Israel in the Old Testament, Yahweh. It's like if you want to know his nature, his character. Like, if I would say Brandon, there's a bunch of different Brandons in the world. So that's my name, but that would give you a little bit of understanding of who I am. But that really only matters when you know the character of who I am. When you know what's important to me, what I care about, what I do, what I don't do. Then you get to understand who it is. And then when you hear the name Brandon, you understand that means these things of who he is. It's my reputation. It's my manner of who I am. When you hear Yahweh, it's his personal name. It's God saying this is the character of who he is. And Yahweh has made himself known to Israel. And Moses is saying here, the Yahweh that Abraham knew, that Isaac knew, that Jacob knew, that Joseph knew, he is now my God and our God. Yahweh is his name. He is a warrior, is what he says. He's a fighter. He is one that fights victoriously, who is Yahweh. He goes into kind of this mega theme of this song, right, where he'll say this kind of line, something similar to it over and over again. Pharaoh's chariots and his armies, he has thrown them into the sea. The choicest of his officers, he has drowned in the Red Sea. The flood waters covered them. They went down into the depths like a stone. Like, do you guys know Yahweh, is what Moses is saying. His name is Yahweh. He is a warrior. He took Pharaoh and all of his army, his choice chariots, and he just covered them with water. They sank into the depths of the sea like a stone, is what he says. You've all done that before, right? Drop the rock in the water, and you just watch it kind of weirdly fall down, and then plunk, and it's just sitting there in the bottom. This is the illustration Moses is trying to say this. Yahweh took the biggest fighting force in the world, and he threw it into the water, and he just covered it with water, and it just went that weird little drop, and then plunk, they're at the bottom. That's the biggest fighting force in all the world. Yahweh is a warrior. Yahweh is his name, is what he's saying. Know him. Do you know who Yahweh is what Moses is trying to get to the point at. Verse 6, he says, your right hand, Lord, is majestic in power. Your right hand, Lord, destroys the enemies. And in the greatness of your excellence, you overthrow those who rise up against you, and you send out your burning anger, and it consumes them like chaff. It's an interesting line here, right? He's building this idea. He's a warrior. Do you know him? He took the whole army, threw it into the sea, it dropped like a rock. His right arm is majestic in power. His right hand destroys the enemies. This idea of right hand, it's an interesting one, right? So right hand, right arm. Sorry, lefties in the room. All right, like I think it's the idea here that like more people have a dominant right arm than a left arm. Doesn't mean you're less than, just different, okay? But more people have a dominant right arm than left arm. The idea is your dominant hand. You're dominant. When you exert your strength, when Yahweh like puts his strength into it, watch out, is what Moses is saying. You know, like the different tasks we have to do in life, certain times we use lesser muscle groups. And if you're like me, I try to use as little amount of muscle groups as possible throughout the day. It's not a good thing, not a healthy thing. I should use more muscle groups more often. But, you're going to do a little task. You might use your leg or arm to do something. You might use your hand to do something, a forearm. But like if you're going to exert your strength, if you need to exert your strength, you're going to use the chest, the back, the arms, the shoulders, and you're going to really put your force into it. Now, there's not all the time that we put our force into it or have to put our force into it. But when you have to put your force into it, then it shows how strong that person is. This is the idea here. Yahweh put his full force in here, and whoa, watch out. His right hand, he's majestic in power, destroying his enemy. He shattered and broke to pieces his adversaries. It's the idea of like taking a piece of glass and throwing it against the wall and shattering. When Yahweh exerts his strength, watch out. He is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. He covered them with water and they sank like a rock to the bottom. Now, I'm saying this in like teacher mode, like maybe a little poetry-ish, I don't know, but like they're singing this song together. It's an interesting song to sing. He goes on from there and he says this idea, right, when his burning anger comes in, he consumes them like chaff. The idea of chaff is straw. So the idea of like something, like straw is something that catches fire quickly, burns bright and quick and gone. If you ever like lit fires or grass or something like that, like a dead grass. I remember a few years ago, this is not the best idea, but I was with my brother-in-law out in Idaho, and they decided to burn their Christmas tree in the fire pit. Just fun, and they were going to start their fire with Christmas tree. And it's just like one little thing, poof, that thing is gone. Massive flame, and it's gone quick. the point is, first, don't try that at home. We shouldn't have tried it at his home. But like Yahweh, when he flexes his muscle, like it's like poof. It's like water over the most powerful fighting force in all the world. He goes on from there in verse 8 and talks a bit about the water as they walk through the water. It says, at the blast of your nostrils, the waters piled up. The flowing waters stood up like a heap. The depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. He's like, did you guys see it? Like, we walked through it. Did you at least turn right or left and look at what was going on? The waters were like a dam, but without the cement, is what he's saying. You ever seen some of the big dams we have in our area, dam up the Columbia River in different places? Massive concrete structures that are holding back water. Imagine that without the concrete. This is what they're saying. Just the water piled up, heaped up, stored up like a wall without the concrete. Moses is like, you guys saw it, right? Like, we went through the water. The water was just like a wall. It stood up like a heap. It was just standing in place. And he says here, the flowing water stood. So like most water that you have has some kind of movement happening in it. Whether it's a raging river, waves in the ocean, like water moves. It's powerful. And he's saying like the general movement of the water just stopped. And it was a dam without cement. It congealed is what he said. It became like a gelatin. I wonder if you like poke it and it just like, did you guys see it? Yahweh's his name. He's a warrior. He's become my God. My ancestors' God has become my God. He picked up Pharaoh's army and he just chucked it into the sea like it was nothing. He goes on from there, verse 9, and talks about what Pharaoh was thinking he could do. The enemy said, I will pursue and I will overtake and I will divide the spoils. I will be satisfied against them. I will draw my sword and my hand will destroy them. He blew with his wind and the sea covered them, and they sank like lead in the mighty waters. He's now giving you a bit of the picture of what Pharaoh would have thought. Pharaoh's thought is, I'm going to go after him, I'm going to catch him, and I'm going to get their spoils. What's the spoils? The Hebrew people had nothing other than the fact that they took everything with them because the Egyptians gave them everything when they asked them for it as they were leaving. But the bigger thing that they're getting from the Israelites is not the possessions, it's them. They are their slave labor. We are lost our slave labor. We're going after them. We're going to get them. We're going to get our slave labor back. He says, I'm going to catch up to them and I'm going to be satisfied. My revenge is going to be filled up. I'm going to draw out my sword and I'm going to take possession of them. I'm going to destroy them, take possession of them. This is Pharaoh's thoughts. Why would he not think that? He's the most powerful man in all the world, with the greatest fighting force in all the world behind him. Nobody can stand against Pharaoh. Of course he's going to think, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my resource and I'm going to have my revenge and I'm going to take care of them. And what did Yahweh do? That's what he did. He blew and your waters covered him. He's a warrior. Yahweh's his name. Like, I love what Moses is saying. Like the greatest fighting force in all the world that thought, of course, they could go back and take back their slave people. They're coming out after them, and Yahweh deals with them by blowing air on them. It says here, you blew with your wind, and the sea covered them. If I go, as long as you're not too close, all you get is bad breath, maybe a little bit of heat. Yahweh does that little movement, and the waters covered the greatest fighting force in all the world. You blew and the sea covered them. They sank again. Another picture like the rock, this time lead. They sank like lead into the mighty waters, into the great and powerful waters. And then his line here, after all that he said, makes total sense. Who is like you among the gods, Yahweh? Who on earth is like you? There is nothing, no one, no power, no authority, no anything, no other God, nothing is even in the same sentence as who you are. Specifically, no other God. The gods of Egypt that have shown some of their power, able to make a staff into a snake. The first few things that they tried to do the same, and then they stopped, realizing we're out of our league. That's what Moses is saying. Everyone is out of their league in comparison to you, Yahweh. Who is like you? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in praise, working wonders? You reach out your right hand and the earth swallowed them up. Who is like you, Yahweh? I mean, you flexed your muscle a little bit and the earth itself swallowed up the greatest fighting force in all the world. Who is like you? Not just your power, but verse 13, your faithfulness. In your faithfulness, you have led your people, whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you have guided them to your holy habitation. The peoples have heard, they tremble. Anguish has gripped the inhabitants of Philistia. The chiefs of Edom were terrified. The leaders of Moab, trembling, grips them. All the inhabitants of Canaan have despaired. Terror and dread fall upon them. By the greatness of your arm, they are motionless as a stone. Not only, Yahweh, are you a warrior who have fought, but you are faithful. The faithfulness here is the idea of steadfast love. You have loved your people with a steady faithfulness. Nobody does that. Like some people might love us for a season and time if we do things good or do things the way they want it, but your love for the people, your people, has been steady, has been faithful, has been constant. You have been faithful and you've guided your people and you've redeemed your people. Redeemed is the word used to buy someone out of slavery. You've purchased them back for yourself. You've given them their freedom. You redeemed your people. You guided them and redeemed them. Your steadfast love and faithfulness has been constant for us. The strength, you have guided them into your holy habitation. This is Moses' song moving from where they're at now to where they're going to, right? So far, Yahweh has recognized the pain that they're under. He has rescued his people. He brought them out of Egypt, out of slavery. He brought them through the Red Sea. And now he said, you're going to lead us into the land. You're going to lead us into the land flowing with milk and honey. You're going to lead us into the land that was promised to Abraham. You're going to lead us back home. You're going to give us this inheritance that's before us. You're going to lead your people. You're going to be faithful in doing that. Your redemption is not just getting us out of slavery, but it is bringing us into this holy habitation. And it says here that as they're moving towards the holy, before they're about to move to the holy habitation, all the people groups in between where they're at now and where they're going are freaking out. Is what the story says. They're out of Egypt, and they're making their way back into Jerusalem, into Judea, into Canaan. And it essentially says the Philistines, the Moabites, the Edomites, and the Canaanites, the people that inhabit that land from Egypt up there, they're scared. They're scared because they've gotten news of what's happened in Egypt. They know, they're starting to understand who Yahweh is. They're understanding whose side Yahweh is on. They're understanding who Yahweh fights for. And as it comes up to these people are shaking in their boots, basically. This line here that it says, terror and dread has fallen upon them, the greatness of your arm. In the greatness of your arm, they are motionless as a stone. They're basically like, even the next line here, until your people pass over, Lord, until your people pass over whom you have purchased. It's basically like, just please go past us. I'll just be quiet. I'll just stay here. I'm not going to make a ruckus. Israel, please just move past the Philistines. Please move past the Moabites. Please move past the Edomites. Just please go. We know. We got the message. And please just go past us. It says, verse 17, that you will bring them and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance. This is that same idea, where they're going to. They're going to bring them to the mountain, the hill country. Judea, the mount is of God, Jerusalem, to your inheritance, to the place, Lord, which you have made your dwelling. So it's not just the place for their dwelling, not just the land promised to Abraham, but it's also where Yahweh will dwell with them. Not just your dwelling, but your sanctuary. They will build a temple there. Yahweh will be with his people there. And then you think, well, I know a bit of the whole story. It doesn't quite work as beautifully as Moses is singing it here, which is true. And even today, we're kind of waiting for the full fulfillment of that. Like, to me, I see the picture of Revelation 21, the kingdom of heaven coming down out of heaven, resting in Jerusalem, and finally in this place where he says here, the sanctuary of the Lord with your hands have established, the Lord shall reign forever and ever. And Moses is singing about forever and ever. What he's going to see and his people are going to see is not forever and ever yet. Even for us, it's not forever and ever yet. But there is a future where God reigns out of the hill country, out of his dwelling place with his people. The whole story of the Bible is moving towards that moment. And Moses is singing about how glorious it is that you, a faithful Yahweh, you have been steadfast love for your people, and you've guided them out of slavery, out of Egypt, into the land where you are going to dwell with them. And he's still done the same for us. Like, he's redeemed us by the work of Jesus Christ on the cross. And Jesus is going to return, and the world is going to be made right, and there's going to be that new Jerusalem, and his people are going to dwell with him. There's still a point of the song that we need to keep singing about. He says in verse 19 that for the horses of Pharaoh and his chariots and the horsemen, back to his main theme, right? The horses of Pharaoh, his chariots, his horsemen went into the sea, and the Lord brought back the waters of the sea on them, but the sons of Israel walked on dry land through the midst of the sea. He's like, okay, guys, do you get it? Yahweh's his name. He is a warrior. He is faithful, steadfast love, and he redeemed us. He's not just my ancestors' God. He's my God. And then the idea here is, like, we witnessed it all. The congealed sea, we walked through it. Pharaoh's army died in it, and we walked through it on dry land, just like a hike, like an afternoon hike, we walked through it. The rescue that God gave us. Do you guys see it, is what he's saying. Now, verse 20, this is where the ladies jump in. All right, if I can make the song good, I don't know. Miriam, the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took the tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with the tambourines and with dancing. So Miriam shows back up in the story. Miriam it describes her right here as Aaron's sister. She's Aaron's sister. She's also Moses' sister. She was in the very beginning of the story. Remember when Moses was like in a basket floating down the river? And the sister, Moses' sister, Miriam, comes in and speaks boldly to the daughter of Pharaoh and talks to her about saving her brother. This Miriam, who is a prophetess, this is a powerful calling in the Old Testament, the ability to hear from God and speak on God's behalf. This trio becomes something that the scriptures talk about as a trio form often. Moses, Aaron, Miriam. They're brought up together in multiple places throughout the scriptures, kind of like the people that God used in this powerful moment of history. Now, there's still a difference there where there's a point where Miriam starts kind of like exerting herself in the scriptures and saying, hey, me and Aaron are kind of like Moses. And God's like very clear, like, no, Moses is a different thing. But yes, all three together were used by God. Now, Miriam at this point, she's hearing the boys. She's hearing Moses. Sorry, I'll keep going with it. She hears Moses and the first boy band going into song. And she gets the ladies together. She gets the tambourine, the hand drum, and she's dancing with the ladies. And it says here, she gets them together. They're singing, they're dancing. This is a big dance party. Can we do a dance party? We're not a dancing folk, are we? A big dance party going on here. They're celebrating. They're super excited. Miriam gets the ladies together. The guys are singing their song. The women are coming in with the tambourine and the dancing. There's a big dance party going on, and her specific line is the same line as what Moses' was. Here's what the ladies are singing. Sing to the Lord. He is highly exalted. The horse and his rider has been hurled into the sea. The exact same line that Moses started with in the song. Now the ladies are coming in with the dancing and the tambourine, and they say, God is amazing. Yahweh is huge and grand and superior and beyond our understanding. He picked up Pharaoh's armies and he just chucked them into the sea. And they're singing and there's dancing and there's celebration together. That would be a fun dance party to witness. I say witness rather than participating because I'm not the participator in the dance party. I'm the guy on the side that's just watching the dance party going on. Are you the dancer? What are you? You get in? Okay, anyway. This is a massive celebration dance party that's going on, singing and celebrating to Yahweh. I mean, at least a little side point. It's okay for us to move a little bit. It's okay for us to celebrate a little bit. It's okay for us to get excited about Yahweh every now and then. That's okay. The celebration is happening. It's a beautiful scene. And then this beautiful scene of celebration goes quickly into the oh, but where are we at now? The fun celebration dance party, and then it's like, okay, we're out in the middle of nowhere, millions of us and all of our livestock. What are we going to do? The text kind of jumps into this kind of juxtaposition or difference from what that was, right? And let's walk through this real quick just to kind of end our section here. It says in verse 22 that Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days into the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah because they were bitter. For that reason, it was named Marah. So the people grumbled at Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Okay, move quickly from dance party to complaint. That's a quick jump, right? I mean, they're having this celebration, and then they realize, oh, we're out in the middle of nowhere. We're not in our homes in Egypt anymore. What are we going to do? And Moses starts leading them out. And as he leads them away from the Red Sea, he's not leading them back into civilization. He's not leading them back into Egypt. He's leading them further and further out into the wilderness. He's leading them out into modern-day Saudi Arabia. There's desert out there. Millions of people and all their livestock now wandering out in desert. So they've gone quickly from God saved us, celebrate, to what are we doing? We're out in the middle of the desert. And there's no water. They come to this place, Marah, where they think there's water, and they start drinking the water, and it's salty, nasty water that you can't drink. And so then they get mad. They call it Marah. Marah actually has an understanding of saltiness, but also bitterness, but also the idea of the fountains of Moses. They call it the fountains of Moses. Moses' fountains are bitter. Moses' fountains are salty. I mean, the people are still jabbing Moses all the time. These little backhanded jabs that they keep doing to Moses. These people that were celebrating, Yahweh, you're powerful, you're amazing. Now we're out here with bitter water. This is what Moses gives us. He gives us these kind of fountains that are just bitter water. What are we going to do? And it says the people just start grumbling, complaining, murmuring. Their faith goes quickly from Yahweh is the God of our ancestors, is now my God, and you stink. What are you doing? Why are you leaving us out here? Of course, that's just them then, right? Not us. We're never in that boat of woo, yes, you're amazing, and where are you? What are you doing? We're out here in the water with nothing, or out in the desert with nothing to drink. It says there, verse 25, that Moses cries out to the Lord, to Yahweh, and the Lord shows him a tree, a log or a timber, and he throws it into those bitter waters at Marah, and the waters became sweet. I guess Yahweh can do that. I guess he can make the sea turn into walls. I guess he can, control all of everything. And so while we're out here worrying about it, maybe he can take this rotting log and we can throw it into the same water, and now that water that was salty is now fresh water that we can drink. Here's the line that God says after that. Then he made for them a statute and a regulation, and there he tested them. And he said, if you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord, of Yahweh, your God, and do what is right in his sight, and listen to his commandments, and keep all of his statutes, then I will put none of the diseases on you which I have put on the Egyptians. For I, the Lord Yahweh, am a healer. What's his point here? Quickly, they've turned from celebration to complaint. Yahweh provides for them, as he always does, with this water turning into fresh water. And then God says, I'm going to test you here. 2 times he used the words listen, and 2 times he uses a version of obey, do. It's do and keep. So the idea here, listen, is not just hear what he's saying, but trust him. God's always giving us instruction. He's always giving us understanding. And he's not just giving you words. He's saying, trust me. Trust me. And if you trust him, you will do what he says. You will keep what he says. The idea of trust and obedience are closely linked together, right? if I genuinely believe that what someone telling me is good for me, if I trust it, then I would do that. If I doubt that person, if I'd rather do my own thing, if I'd rather trust myself, then I'll do that. We never do something that isn't something we trust. It's whether or not we trust ourselves or someone else or God. This is the problem from the beginning. This whole idea is they're now out in the wilderness. The wilderness becomes a major theme in the scriptures. The wilderness is where, testing comes. When life gets difficult, when there's not fresh water right next door, when your house isn't right there, when all of your comforts aren't right there, that's when life gets difficult. We all have our wilderness moments. The scriptures itself start off that way, right? The world itself is a wild wasteland until God cultivates it and creates a garden for human habitation. He takes the wild, the wilderness, and he makes it a garden for them to live in. And now they are to trust him, to obey him. There's a test even in that garden, isn't there? Are you going to eat the tree that gives you the power and authority to make all decisions? Or are you going to trust Yahweh and what he says? Same thing. God's the one that creates the structure, the place for human habitation, the garden, the comforts. Without him, it's wilderness. And when we're going through the testing of wilderness, are we going to trust Yahweh? We're putting to test this newfound faith that we have. And essentially, are we going to trust and obey? For there's no other way. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. Not only was this test in the garden, and is this test right now for the people of Israel in Egypt, this test is the test that Jesus passes. Remember? Jesus doesn't eat or drink anything, no water in the wilderness. He goes out in the wilderness with no water for 40 days. If you know the future of this story, how long are these people going to be wandering the desert? 40 years? It's different, but still 40. Jesus goes out in the wilderness for 40 days with no water. And the testing happens to Jesus. I could turn this stone into bread for you, Jesus, and you could eat. And Jesus has to wonder, is Yahweh good? Will he care for me? Can I trust him and can I follow and obey him? It's a theme everywhere. And the question is, the wilderness takes this newfound budding faith that we have, and it helps us push through to see the genuineness of that faith. And I think we're all going to have different versions of the wilderness. How many times have we cried out like they did, the God, we may not say it like this, but the God of my ancestors is my God. My mother and father's God is my God. I trust God. I trust Yahweh. I trust in Jesus Christ. He is my God. But then when that declarative statement hits the rubber, when I'm in the wilderness, when things are going rough, is he still my God? Has he shown himself faithful enough that I'm going to complain and grumble like they're doing at this point? Or am I going to listen, trust, and obey, is the question. And Yahweh is saying, I will have none of the disease of Egypt will be put on you. I am a healer. What I want for you is mending, repair, rebuilding. I want you to grow in this newfound faith that you have. This is not going to be the same diseases of Egypt, the same sinful problems that destroyed all of Egypt. That's not what I'm after here. I'm after healing and restoring and mending and growing and building your faith. And so, just even that pattern, God's going to take this newfound budding faith that we have, and life and its wilderness is going to hit us. And do we trust Yahweh? Do we act upon that trust in ways that are connected to that trust? And in that, God is healing, growing, building our faith, as opposed to the disease of Egypt. The disease of Egypt is all around us. The disease of Egypt is not just thousands of years ago. The disease of Egypt is today. The disease of Egypt is in the Seattle area. The disease of Egypt is in my heart. And Yahweh is a healer who wants to heal the disease of Egypt in us. And if you doubt it, here's the next line. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 date palms, and they camped there besides the waters. So They're out in the wilderness. They come to the bitter, salty water. God throws the log in it, gives them a little bit of taste that they can make it, and then he brings them to the oasis with tons of fresh water, the trees for shade, food and water for the animals. Everyone is taken care of. He shows himself over and over again as our sustenance, as our protection, as our warrior, as our faithful, like the one who has steadfast love and redemption for us. He shows up over and over and over and over again, and the disease of Egypt is in there as well. And the question is, this newfound budding faith that I have, the faith of my mother is now my faith. That new faith that I have, am I going to trust Yahweh and obey? Or am I going to grumble and complain and do it my own way? And this is the problem as old as time. All the way back to the garden. And the only person that ever passed the test was Jesus. The only human that ever did it. You see, the scriptures is a line of people trying to fulfill that test. Abraham, Isaac, Moses, all of them. And they all fail it. Except for one. Jesus Christ. The only one to ever love his Lord Yahweh with all of his heart, mind, and soul, and love his neighbor as himself. And he took the perfection of that life to the cross where he paid for our inability to do it. I am like Israel. I will complain when things aren't going well. But it doesn't matter how I do because Jesus Christ has done it in my place. Jesus Christ has paid for all of my sins. I trust in him. And as you and I trust in him, the more we genuinely trust him, the more we will follow what he says is the best life to live. There's so much depth in here. Celebrate Yahweh. Celebrate who he is. See him as Moses sees him in his grand, powerful, like warrior, like who is God like you? See him that way. Make that declaration of faith and say, you're my God. And then understand that as the tough, difficult wilderness of life hits, like, are we going to retain that faith? Keep that faith? Will that faith be genuine? And understand when we fail, we have the cross of Jesus Christ to hoist us up again. And then move forward with trusting Yahweh more and more. A lot to ponder in a section like this that really just started off as a dance party. But it's a pretty amazing dance party. All right, let's go ahead and pray. Father, we thank you so much. I thank you for giving us a glimpse into the celebration of Israel at this time. To, Lord, see how they allowed themselves to be moved by your greatness in a way in which they celebrated you. Lord, I wonder if my heart or if us, even in our day and age, struggle to celebrate you like we should. Lord, you have been as amazing of a God to us as you were to them. Lord, our redemption is found in Jesus Christ, not walking through the waters of the Red Sea, but being baptized in the waters of Jesus Christ and having given new faith and life through him, forgiveness of our sins. That's where our rescue lies, and that should well up in your people a deep celebration. Lord, that as we walk through the wilderness of this life, the difficulties, the diseases of Egypt, Lord, I pray that you would help us to keep our faith and trust in Jesus Christ. Lord, the faith that was started there, I pray that we would continue to press in, continue to celebrate him, continue to listen to what Jesus says, and continue to do what's in front of us. Help us to trust you and obey, knowing that you are a good God, even in the midst of seasons of wilderness, that there's always that future oasis coming. And the future oasis is Revelation 21, you being with your people forever. So Jesus, please be with us today. Guide my heart, guide the hearts of the people in your church, and may you be glorified, we pray in Jesus' name.